commodity market update. Now, let's get a summary of what happened last week on the exchange. The last trading week, there was an increase across majority of the key indicators. I saw a 4 times increase in turnover from 0.77 billion naira to 3.89 billion naira. Also, total volume of the commodities traded increased 4 times from about 2.3 million contracts to 11 million contracts. Number of deals increased by 6%, closing the week at 283 deals. However, the AFEX commodity index declined marginally by 1.06%, closing at 471.64 index points, while the AFEX export index gained marginally by 0.30%, closing at 225.58 index points. The volume of contracts traded, you see there, soybean stood as the top traded commodity, followed by maize. Saw an increased volume across maize, soybean, cocoa, ginger, and cashew price there. And for price, you see soybean topped the gainers chart, gaining 3.58% week on week to close at 362 naira 82 kobo per kilogram. So it's closely followed by cocoa, which gained 1.05% to close at 1,907 naira for a kilogram. Among the losers, we see cashew. That topped the laggards chart, declining 6.87% to close the week at 614 naira per kilogram. So it's followed closely also by maize, which dipped by 5.95% to close at 220 naira 94 kobo per kilogram. And that was a performance on the exchange there. So let's take the conversation further. And we're still looking at women participation in the agricultural industry. We see an African female farmer as a farmer who bears all the burden of food production on her tired, busy shoulders with little or no access to land, credit, technology, and market. In sub-Saharan Africa, only 15% of landholders are women, and they receive less than 10% of credit and 7% of extension services compared to their male counterparts. Let's see what can be done to close this gap. We have Nancy Lisakwe, Vice President, Clearing and Settlement at AFEX. Great to have you on the show, and happy International Women's Day.
Thank you so much, and thanks for having me.
So definitely, it's time to unlock investment opportunities that create market linkages, access to inputs, training on post-harvest techniques and seed production, to alleviate the constraints women farmers will face to stay ahead of the curve. The crucial question now is, what are the necessary infrastructures to drive, this development?
Okay, thank you very much for that important question. I would like to appreciate you for the moment like this. I would like to mention categorically that in AFEX, we're trying to build physical structures. We're also building technological structures that are supporting trade systems across the country, and we're also scaling to other countries of the continent. Particularly in the area of infrastructure, we're building warehouses. Currently, we have over 130 warehouses across Nigeria. In Kenya and Rwanda, we have more warehouses spread across those areas. In addition to those warehouses, we have farmers are able to come store in the warehouses. So we have innovative technology that supports inventory management. What we have put in place is that particular technology, referencing Workbench in particular, is a technology that actually supports bringing farmers' data into the system, more like providing a digital platform for the farmers. So by extension, the farmers are able to have like a digital footprint on our systems. They're able to bring in their inventory, store in our warehouse. We raise warehouse receipts, which can be traded on the exchange, granting them access to market. In addition to granting access to market, the warehouse receipts are being kept in form of soft copies, and they can be collateralized and used as a form of getting finances from the capital market as well. So that kind of infrastructure is what we are building at AFEX. In addition to the technological space, we also have cleaning facility, which we launched last year. The facility has capacity of actually cleaning over 100,000 metric ton of selected commodities. So those are the kind of investment that Apex is bringing on board, and we're happy. We're supporting the government of the country and also governments of the continent in actually bringing these infrastructures to bear.
And also identified one issue is low decision-making power stemming from culture, norms, influence. That's also hindered women in agriculture. What are some, sustainable ways this can actually be overcome?
Okay. You do notice that women in agriculture actually contribute close to 43% of the entire labor force of to the entire workforce of agriculture in the continent. The key take home is that despite the fact that agriculture contributes close to 80% of what the food we actually consume on the continent, the women are the ones who bear this burden. However, these women actually involved in they kind of run double labor day. In the morning, they are tasked with the fact that they have to go to the field to actually fetch fuel that they need to cook in their homes. They also are burdened with the fact that they have to go look for water that they can use to cook in their homes. This makes them actually very tired. They are unable to actually contribute their quota to production. What, in essence, I'm trying to say is that there's need for investment in expansion of the infrastructure that relates to supply of water, supply of electricity that can enable them to actually invest in maybe good cooking facilities in their homes that can reduce the unpaid hours or wasted hours they use in home chores, and they can channel that energy into the production of more agricultural output. In another front, farmers actually, female farmers in particular, do have access to technology. This is actually reducing the exposure they have because, one, apart from the fact that they are time poor, bearing in mind that they have 2 labor hours, 2 labor day they run. Also, another instance is that they also do not have access to innovative information that can help them to drive production in their space of production. Another key challenge that these farmers female farmers actually face in particular is the fact that they do not have access to land, just a little bit above 10% of the 15% of these farmers have access to land. And we cannot end poverty without actually supporting or blocking these loopholes. We need to grant women more access to land so they can take ownership of the lands, improve the output of that land, and then improve the output of the economy as a whole. About 20 to 30% of output is actually possible, like incremental output is actually possible if we support farmers and female farmers in the areas of access to land, access to credit, and access to information technology that can help them to have predictive information as to weather forecasts and the likes. Even granting them more access to credit, increasing the access of credit they have, they will be able to actually increase their production as a result of that. So these are the things we are calling out for. We need more female farmers to be able to farm more, support their families, support Africa as a whole in increasing the gap in food production and also bridge the gap in food security. In Apex, we've actually taking the steps forward to actually anchor some of our strategies, because we do know that strategy actually brings focus. So we've kind of aligned some of our goals to the SDG goals, and some of the SDG goals we have kind of focused on is one of the SDG is no hunger. Another one is closing SDG 5, closing the gap in gender inequality. Another of the SDG goal we've actually focused on is the agenda that tries to eliminate poverty. Now, you cannot eliminate poverty if you don't close the gender gap. Like I mentioned, 20 to 30% additional food production, equivalent to food that can actually feed close to 150 million people, is being lost as a result of non-inclusion of female farmer in the agricultural space.
And definitely boosting output is critical at this point. But how do you think we can prioritize digital literacy training for women, that encourage inclusivity and help women learn skills and, boost their learning of skills that they do not have to be able to, stand in a market that is actually male-dominated?
Interesting question there. So we need to start with the fact that about 20 women are less likely to actually have access to mobile devices. That is one. So about 23% of women in the continent do not have access to mobile devices. So we need to first of all start by closing that loophole. In addition to that, we need to work in areas that advances areas of digital payment. For example, if a female is able to actually get access to payments on her phone, she's able to decide when to spend it without bothering about being controlled or being advised or the money being stolen. In FX, we've actually focused on ensuring that we support even from the grassroots, because at some point we've actually taken up initiatives or working with some banks to see how we can support the enrollment of BVN. So that's one thing we've actually done in AFEX. Another way we can also ensure that women get digital support is also when they have access to the kind of markets we have, the infrastructure AFEX has built, referring to the COMEX app we have. Women are able to actually trade from the comfort of their home without bothering about transporting, because even wasting of time is also part of the losses they incur because they do not have so much time. Remember, I'd mentioned that females actually are exposed to time poverty. So we need to actually see how we can encourage them to use technology like that of AFEX, the COMEX. They can trade from the comfort of their home. Payment is being made to them. All they need to do is get to our accredited warehouse, deposit the inventory, and they can trade. Another thing we can also support them is, like I mentioned earlier, that we have an inventory system which also serves like a biodata system. That system helps to give the woman like a digital footprint. It gives her a digital identity on the map, on the agricultural map. What this entails is that her credit profile can be traced from that platform. She has an identity. She can get her inventory into our warehouse. It will be securitized. It will be collateralized at the same time, and she can get access to credit as a result of that. Another way we can actually support female farmers is actually by granting them access to these digital devices so they can get access to information that allows them to have predictive information like weather changes or new technologies that are evolving in the agricultural landscape. So women really need to be allowed to and trusted with the fact that the mobile phone is just not a device for social interaction, but that the device is a channel for her to learn new things, learn new agricultural practice, get access to market, get access to fair trade, get access to information that can enhance her productivity and in the long run enhance the economic output of not just her herself, because when a woman is empowered agriculturally, what she does is that she empowers her family in area of nutrition. The family does better, and then even the extended family, we Africans, we actually benefit from the outputs of the female farmer.
Right, so much technology for them to learn there, but it's always a good place to start. Any day, just start learning the technology. Thank you so much, Nancy Olisakwe, Vice President, Clearing and Settlement at AFEX. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right, we'll take a moment now.